pandemonium in the streets. This is the story of how one podcast caused the people of America to ensue chaos. I am your host, Richard Drifast the Third Cronkit, and I will be going through tonight telling you the story of this podcast. Welcome to tonight's story on the podcast that changed the world. Here we have first-hand stories coming to you about how people thought that the apocalypse really happened. First, we go to you live in the field with our good host, Bob Drifast. Bob, tell us what you're seeing out in the field.
Well, Richard, I'm out here in the field and I'm seeing pure pandemonium and people running around, ripping their clothes off, shaving their heads, putting on sackcloth and ashes, people thinking that it's the end of the world. Ma'am, can you tell us what this is just? It was just a podcast, is all that it was. It was not really the apocalypse or the end of the world. Can you tell us how you are feeling right now?
Well, I tell you what, I was just sitting there and I was just listening to the radio on the podcast, and I listened to my favorite podcast, tnp-live-from-the-bunker. Them, I just love them two boys. But they said that the rapture had happened. They were watching the full moon super lunar eclipse thing happen, and it was like it was all real. I just feel so lost and confused right now. I don't know what to do. I've lost all my clothes, and I feel kind of bad for looting that store, but...
Well, thank you, Mrs.
Drifast.
Mrs. Drifast. Thank you, Mrs. Drifast, for your input on the story. Now we come over here. We have Mr. Bobby Gary Davis over here, and we're going to ask him, sir, did you know that this was not real? This was not a real apocalypse that occurred.
Well, no, I did not. I feel a little bit dumb now, but I surely thought that this was really happening.
And that's the reaction from down here on North Main Street in Canton, Richard. Well, I'll send it back to the studio. We are following up with more citizens who are still running around in pandemonium.
Thank you, Bob, and be careful out there in the field. This all started on one night on July... I'm sorry, I'm looking at the teleprompter wrong. This all started on one night of January the 30th, at the time of which the blue moon, blood moon, supermoon eclipse happened. As we all witnessed, the Earth passed between the sun and the moon, causing a full total eclipse. And at 4:31 in the morning, the TNP Live thought it would be funny to make the world think that the rapture had really happened. And that Jesus himself had called his people back to the world. We have actually on the phone with us here now one of the hosts.
Hello.
We're on the wrong line. Sorry, ma'am. We're trying to talk. Hang that one up. Click. I'm sorry about that. We need to talk to one of the hosts of the show we have on the line. I believe we got Casey, Adam, Buffalo, Dan here. Buffalo, Casey, sir. What made you feel like this would be an appropriate podcast?
Well, you know, I'm a fan of old radio shows. There was this radio show back in the 40s that was telling people that there was all sorts of aliens coming in. I believe it was it an Alfred Hitchcock?
I believe you're referring to War of the Worlds.
Yes.
H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells, one of those people that has a funny first name. Who names the first child H.G.? I guess that'd be kind of funny, though. I mean, like, hey, H.G., come over here,
Now,
one of two-syllable names like J.R. Oh, where are we at? I'm sorry.
Now, when you began this podcast, did you think it would have the ramifications that ensued?
Well, I didn't actually think that people were going to think that the Lord and His angels were descending out of the sky, because I wasn't, I just wasn't sure, how people would take that. But I had forgotten that this was Western North Carolina and this was Haywood County, and people did indeed believe that the Lord was descending out of the sky and that they had been left behind, and I was the only voice left tell them what was going on. And so I had to go along with it because they were worried, and then you walked out somewhere. My co-host Joshua went somewhere. I was sure that he had been raptured, and so I was just trying to bring a sense of calm to the people, and then I saw this pit bull outside, and he was sort of going, row, 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 and I thought to myself, well, maybe this whole rapture thing really did happen.
Now, Casey, I'm going to have to interrupt you, and we're going to have to go back live in the field with Bob. I'm being told there is some sort of disturbance in the Main Street district. Bob, what's happening?
Well, Richard, you see that people out here looting everywhere. There's bricks, there's rocks, there's cars being driven through stores, things being thrown through windows. There's absolutely pandemonium down here. The entirety of Main Street is on fire. The smokestacks at the plant have crumbled. The restaurants are all out of food. There is no more diet rides in the grocery store. People have gone insane.
But Bob, you're witnessing it firsthand. Can you tell us what's the temperature down there?
The temperature down here seems to be a ripe 34.5 degrees with a wind chill of about 25.
So, Bob, you're saying that the reports of temperatures of 107 in the middle of, the beginning of February now, were false reports.
Reports of 107 are absolute baloney.
Thank you, Bob. We're gonna have to cut it over live to broadcast from our affiliate channel, ABNQ, where we have a news. I can't think of the word.
Hello.
Okay. Actually, no. We're going to go over to line 7 with Brenda Weatherman. Brenda Weatherman, what can you tell us?
Hello, Richard. Brenda Weatherman here. Well, as you can see, there's this man. He's running around without clothes. I'm sorry, I could not keep my composure. He had ripped off his clothes and was running around in the streets there on our live television program. And,
Is this on TV? I got no clothes on.
Police, thank you. Richard, we are here in your CBS affiliate in New York, and people here have caught wind of the broadcast over the AM radio waves late at night, and some people caught on to the podcast, and they started running out in the streets, and they were doing the same thing they were doing in your tiny town. They were looting and burning cars, and people were jumping out of buildings, and it was mass suicide all over the place. I think. What are the reports on that? 147 confirmed dead from jumping out of windows. I believe this might be as bad as the crisis of when the stock market fell in 1929, and all of those people jumped out of these very same windows of the buildings that were standing here in 1929. Now, as we pan over here to my left, you can see there is just a massive fire in this building. I'm getting reports of, I guess everybody made it out, but Fluffy the cat did not. If we could all take a moment of silence for Fluffy the cat. All right, now we're going to go over here and interview this fireman over here, and I believe this is Mr. Jones, and let's see what he has to say. Ma'am, we're going to have to move out here. This is pandemonium. This is absolutely awful. You can't be here. I'm reporting on the situation. Ma'am, you just can't be here. This is just bad, folks. This has just been the worst prank in all of humankind. So, if you're within the reach of my voice, listen. It was a dumb prank. There ain't nothing going on. There ain't no apocalypse. The rapture ain't happened yet. Go back home. Stay in your home. Lock your doors. People are afraid. Best thing you can do, lock your doors. If anybody walks in, shoot them with a shotgun. That's the best advice I can give you. Oh, no. We can't be shooting people with shotguns.
No, we're going to...
Richard, it seems we have problems. I'm having connection problems. I can't hear...
We're going to have to cut you off, Bob. Okay, we lost Bob there. We're going to go over to a live feed that we're getting from another affiliate station, NBY9724, where it has a live press conference with the radio hosts themselves. Let's cut over to that feed.
Hello, America. Is this?
Hello.
Is that
yes.
working? Is that, yeah, I
This
think
is,
the microphone is on.
I'm your host, Joshua Harris, with your co-host.
Buffalo Dan.
We have prepared a statement for tonight. We at TNP Live would like to apologize for the chaos that we have caused.
We would not like to apologize for the exposure that our podcast has received, because we have gained millions upon millions of listeners and followers, so we thank you for that. But if anybody was hurt or injured in the recording of our podcast, we would like to apologize. We assumed everybody would laugh at our great, huge joke that we pulled over the eyes of the American people.
Joke would be the key word for the night. It was a joke, and we apologize for the chaos that we ensued.
It was not intentional. Intentional
not.
is a good word.
We would like
use.
to apologize by name to three people in general. First, Sister Martha Sue Mary Helen of the First Catholic Church of Canton. We're sorry that you fell down them stairs in the chaos that we ensued.
Number two, to the people of America, your broadcast of the President's State of the Union speech was interrupted, so you were not able to hear how America may be screwed over. How the State of the Union is in the United States, and so we apologize for interrupting the President.
And number three, we would like to apologize to you, Mr. Richard Drifast the Third Cronkit, for basically just having to do this tonight, but we're getting some pretty good publicity off
And
this.
Bob Drifast out in the field, and Barbara in New York City. We know that you are out late in dangerous situations. Mr. Jones, the fireman, we apologize that you had to leave your family at home and leave your kittens and the comforts of this winter night and go out and rescue folks who
are stupid.
believe,
yes, they
believe
fell for our-
you know.
And lastly, we would like to apologize to Mr. Fluffles the cat, who died in that fire in that towering building in the middle of Canton.
And to the Lord, because we said that the rapture was happening and it was not happening.
He doesn't even know what's going to happen.
Dun dun dun.
That is the end of our press conference. We will turn it back over to you, Mr. Richard Drifast. Folks, you have it here.
Oh, well, let's see. We're out here in the field, and we got. Let's see. People are filtering back inside, and people are just, they're just going about their normal nights now. People are going to bed, and so
It seems to that the situation at hand is falling back upon itself, and we are back to a regular state of union, of peace, and close to global warning. That is the end of tonight's special broadcast. I'm your host, Richard Drifast the Third Cronkit. Make sure you tune in next week for TNP Live from the Bunker. I can't believe people really thought this thing was real. This is just a bunch of stupid. Oh, are we still on? This is
stupid people.
somebody. Whoever's supposed to mute this microphone needs to be.